And joining us is the Foreign Minister of Finland, Mr. Pekka Havisto. He's with us from Amsterdam, and this is a Firstpost exclusive. Mr. Pekka Havisto, welcome to Firstpost, and congratulations on your success in joining the NATO. What does it mean for Finland?
Thank you. For us, it means a lot because we Finns are very security-oriented people, and since last February, when Russia attacked Ukraine, we have been witnessing war in Europe. And at this moment, of course, we feel that we are not defending ourselves only alone, but we have the support of the 30 other NATO countries helping us if anything goes to wrong direction.
Finland and Sweden applied for membership together. Turkey was the hurdle. You crossed it. Sweden could not cross it. How did you pull it off? And what concessions did Finland make? Was there a backroom deal?
Well, there was not a background deal. We, of course, established last summer in Madrid, in a NATO summit, a working group or tripartite working group between Sweden, Finland and Turkey. We went through some of those concerns of Turkey, including terrorism. The PKK is a terrorist organization that is forbidden both in, not only in Turkey, but also in Finland and Sweden. We discussed about the Gülenists, we discussed about the Syrian YPG and other Kurdish groups. And we, of course, found out that we have different legislation in our countries compared with Turkey. But it's important that in Finland there were no provocations against Turkey during these negotiations and so forth. And we know that Sweden is changing something in their terrorist legislation happening first days of June. And this hopefully helps also now Sweden to join NATO. Of course, our accession is not complete until Sweden is also a member, because we have a very close military cooperation with Sweden traditionally.
Nuclear weapons are a core component of NATO's deterrence, but Finland has always called nuclear weapons illegal. You have a strong record of non-proliferation. Is that position going to change now? Will Finland bring nuclear weapons on its soil? And will it come up with a new policy on nuclear weapons?
Well, currently we have a legislation that prevents nuclear material or nuclear weapons to be transferred to Finnish soil, and there has not been discussion of changing that legislation. My understanding is that actually those nuclear weapons that NATO has or are controlled by NATO is permanently located to certain places in Europe, and I haven't heard any particular decisions or plans to change those locations.
Is Finland looking to change its policy?
Well, we haven't changed anything in our policy, of course. When joining NATO, you accept that part of the deterrence is also that NATO has nuclear weapons, or NATO countries have nuclear weapons, but also the NATO policy is that it would be better to have a nuclear-free world, but so that every country quits nuclear weapons.
So now Finland is fundamentally okay with the idea of nuclear weapons?
Currently, we understand that NATO as an organization and NATO countries have also the nuclear deterrence.
I understand NATO has been in talks with India. There have been reports of closed-door meetings. Do you see a shift on India's part, a willingness to do more with NATO? As a member of NATO, do you also think that India should engage more actively with this alliance?
Well, one of the topics that we discussed in a NATO foreign ministers meeting was, of course, the Indo Pacific issues, discussed about the China, discussed about the Taiwan issue, and in many speeches also the role of India actually as a close partner to European Union and to many NATO countries was mentioned. And of course, also Finland during the recent years have established quite close cooperation with India. Minister Jaishankar has been visiting Finland as well, and we have a good communication with India.
What role do you see for the NATO in the Indo Pacific?
Well, of course, one role for NATO countries is to keep the Taiwan Straits open for commercial traffic and maintain the freedom of maritime movement and so forth. I think that's one of the key issues. And of course, we see different risks also of conflict escalating in the Indo-Pacific area. But of course, NATO's role is to defend NATO territories and territories of NATO countries.
Mr. Pekka Havisto, thank you very much for joining us here on Firstpost, and thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thanks. Good talking to you.